There are alarms going on.
District 4, District 5 units, respond to the airport.
A lot of chaos going on. Let's send everybody to the airport.
Number 4. Cutting each other out. Terminal 2.
It took just 90 seconds for sheriff's deputies to capture the lone gunman in the deadliest airport shooting in U.S. history. But nearly an hour and a half after that, the uneasy calm that had returned to the airport was shattered by false reports of further gunfire that swept through the airport's 4 terminals. The Sun Sentinel's investigation revealed that deficiencies in training, communications, and passenger support made a challenging and terrifying situation worse.
Absolute chaos.
You saw people running all over the tarmac. You saw them running underneath airplanes, running against walls.
There was nobody there to direct us even. Nobody there even in an attempt to control the crowd. It was every person for themselves. My wife saw the TSA agent run at her station, and she had taken the kids and had tried to run with him because he obviously knew where to run to. My wife and I still had no idea what we were running from. We find out shortly after we get onto the tarmac that there had been a shooting.
TSA agents are not law enforcement officers. They are unarmed, and if there's an active shooter nearby, they're taught to run and hide. Only as a last resort are they supposed to fight. Like TSA agents, airport workers are instructed how to take care of themselves, not how to help travelers. Adding to the confusion were plainclothed officers with guns that panicked travelers.
What we saw at Fort Lauderdale is then it doesn't take much to set people off from there. Just a single person or two saying, oh, I saw something here, or starting to run the other way.
You could limit mass hysteria by a few very simple actions. A mass communication announcement.
I think it's important that airports take advantage of the public address systems and social media to try to get accurate information out to people as quickly as possible to try to prevent some of that.
A Sun Sentinel survey determined that at least 840 officers from local, state, and federal agencies responded to the airport that day.
Strip out the district, send everybody to the airport.
The crush of officers who flooded the airport overwhelmed the county's antiquated emergency radio system, hampering communications.
Cutting each other out. 11626, you have immediate ignition at first. Stop cutting him out.
The Broward Sheriff's Office did not give the all-clear to release passengers until just before 7 p.m. Emergency road closures around the airport that afternoon created a traffic nightmare, with gridlock persisting long after they reopened. Dozens of buses sent to take people to a relief center set up at Port Everglades got stuck in traffic and needed police escorts to get through. The logjam left Darla and James Eberly of Ohio stranded on a plane on the tarmac for about 6 hours before they were let into the airport. After going to baggage claim, they joined thousands of other people on a curb waiting for buses. They waited there for 5 more hours, she said.
People that are in their 70s and 80s, and they're out there fighting and throwing themselves in front of buses, trying to get the buses to stop. We slept on the cold cement floor where I have my hang-up is. I came in after the fact. You got your guy. Now I'm being treated like I was a criminal, and I felt like I was being held hostage.
It goes beyond words what happened after that shooting. It was disgusting. Somebody's got to be responsible for this.
Destructive as these lapses were, they could have been anticipated. Similar panics broke out during gun scares in other U.S. airports in recent years. After a 2013 shooting at Los Angeles International Airport, Congress passed a law requiring airports to have plans for dealing with active shooters. The law recommends, but does not require, airports to plan for evacuations, crowd control, communications, and worker training. All might have alleviated the hardships in Fort Lauderdale. No one has taken responsibility yet. The county government, which operates the airport, says Broward Sheriff Scott Israel was in charge. In an interview, Israel said his focus was to make sure nobody else died that day. Law enforcement's primary focus was to make sure no other shooters lurked in the airport, he said, although he acknowledges that quite a lot of confusion took place. He described the situation as controlled chaos. The agency is still working on a formal review of how the crisis was handled.